Artifacts. As annoying as they are to farm, it is undeniable that they are a core game mechanic within Genshin Impact. They mainly serve as a way to give your characters more of their core stats, but the bonuses for using multiple pieces of the same set can drastically improve a character's usefulness in various ways. Animo supports, for example, are great on their own for their crowd control capabilities, but the Viridescent set allows them to do a little bit more for the team by lowering enemy elemental resistance. Essentially, artifact sets are used in a way which capitalizes on a character's existing strengths, but I think they also have the unique ability to redirect a character's weaknesses into new strengths. So in this video, I'm going to propose ideas for 3 new artifact sets which could save 3 characters who are generally regarded as some of the weakest in the game. When I mention buffing a character, you probably think of the developers going in and directly changing values or mechanics in order to strengthen them, since that's pretty much what every game ever does. But an often overlooked fact is that this isn't the only way to buff a character. As opposed to a direct buff, a character can be indirectly buffed through either the release of another character who synergizes well with them, or a new in-game item that benefits them in one way or another. I would actually consider indirect buffs better for the overall health of the game, since MiHoYo trying to get direct buffs right all in one go kind of lends itself to overcompensation. And since there's so much that actually goes into making just a single character, that's where new artifact sets come in. Since launch, only 6 new sets have been released, but each one managed to provide something unique when compared to the previously existing sets. And similar to how Child became significantly more usable when the Heart of Depth set was released, I think adding new artifacts can go a long way in giving characters the help they need. So let's talk about Qiqi. I haven't made a gameplay design analysis video on her because her problems are very straightforward relative to other characters. Also, I've never pulled her before, somehow. Basically, she is a character solely dedicated to healing. Both her abilities heal, both her Ascension passives let her heal even more, and even her Ascension stat is healing bonus %. Her downfall is that healing is literally all she can do. She can't provide attack bonuses, shields, or energy generation, and can't set up reactions well, basically giving her no form of additional support. The best she can do is grant the attack bonus from the Noblesse Oblige 4-piece bonus, but when other characters can run the same exact set with their superior kits, it's like there's no point. It's clear to me that all Qiqi really needs to have her own distinct usefulness is some kind of benefit from the overabundance of healing that she gives. If all your characters are at full health, then healing is effectively useless, so why not allow her to convert that extra healing into something useful? Let's call this set, I don't know, Guardian Angel or something. The 2-piece bonus tends to synergize with the 4-piece bonus, so let's make it 15% character healing effectiveness, just like the Maiden Beloved set. Unlike that set, which unnecessarily grants more healing though, this 4-piece bonus will convert a percentage of excess healing into something else. This is where there's a few different paths we could go down, each with their own set of pros and cons. Overheal is an option, granting characters additional tankiness, but we already have shields in the game, so it seems like a poor choice. I feel like a straight attack boost wouldn't be great either, considering other characters and the Noblesse set already do that, but thankfully there are more unique ways of increasing your party's effective DPS. Of course, there's always resistance reduction, but I would want something more creative like increased attack speed or reduced stamina consumption. Realistically though, any kind of benefit to overhealing would greatly increase the overall usefulness of healers in the current meta. Also, it incidentally would not be an indirect buff to the god tier unit Bennett, considering that his 70% healing cap effectively restricts him from overhealing. Now that I think about it, this could actually be a great way to bring all other healers closer to his level of effectiveness. Next up, we have Amber, who I have talked about in a previous video. Amber's best way of putting out damage is through her pyro charge shots, which suffers from being slow and only dealing damage to a single target. Because Amber will never be effective through her basic attack combo like Yoimiya, and will never be able to do huge AoEs like Ganyu, I think the best way to help her out is to go all in on the idea of landing big headshots. The Wanderer's Troop set does actually boost this playstyle, but its 80 elemental mastery bonus and 35% damage increase does not do enough to make it comparable to other damage types. So the cool part about charged bow shots in this game is that shooting weak points guarantees you a critical hit no matter what your actual crit rate percentage is. So in theory, you can have 0% crit rate but still deal lots of crit damage, which is exactly where this artifact set is headed. Because this playstyle is already inherently weak, I don't think a crit damage 2-piece bonus would be too much. For the 4-piece bonus, let's say every percent of crit rate is converted into percent crit damage, and aim shot charge times are decreased similar to Kujo-Sara's first Ascension passive. With reasonable numbers, I don't think this would make Amber S tier, but I think it would help her feel a bit more usable. Also, I know that not every enemy has a weak point, but I would much prefer characters like Amber excel in this niche rather than nothing. Again, this wouldn't be an indirect buff to the already overpowered Ganyu, since the majority of her charge shot damage comes from the Frostflake arrow bloom damage that does not headshot. Lastly, we have Xinyan, who unfortunately still has no presence in the game since I made my video on her back in April. In terms of her gameplay though, there are quite a few problems holding her back, but the one I want to focus on is her kit being split between a defense scaling shield support and an offensive scaling physical main DPS. She's in a strange spot where you have to choose between one of the two, when other characters who have alternate scalings have a clear best choice. So my goal with this artifact set is to bridge the gap between these two playstyles as best as I can. Starting with the 2-piece bonus, we'll go with 30% defense like the Defender's Will set to help scale up that shield. Surprisingly, there currently isn't any 5-star artifact set with defense as the 2-piece bonus, kinda goes to show how neglected it is as a stat. But anyways, for the 4-piece bonus, we'll make it so that based on how much damage the character's previous shield absorbed, upon next activation of their elemental skill, the character gets a brief period of greatly increased offensive stats. This would work to encourage players to deploy a large health shield, absorb as much damage as they can, and then utilize a burst of DPS the next time they put up the shield. This would play to her strength as both a shield support and a main DPS. And although I wasn't thinking of her when conceptualizing this, it would also probably work quite nicely on Noelle. I'm not even going to try to make it seem like these ideas are perfect, especially because all this kind of stuff would need thorough testing, but I just want to get the idea out there that using artifacts as a way to indirectly buff characters has so much untapped potential. I really do think it is more likely for characters to be buffed this way, since it can shake up the meta, but is controlled enough to not let power creep run rampant. And although new weapons can have a similar effect of indirectly buffing characters, weak characters already have access to some pretty strong weapons, and artifacts are free to play friendly despite their reliance on RNG. It's a shame that it seems like new artifact domains are only ever added when there's a new character to be released alongside it, but I'm hoping MiHoYo changes that soon. I'm interested to know what kind of new artifact sets you guys can come up with and for what characters they would buff. But anyways, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed, and as always, thank you for watching.